Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Salam Azli. He is the only certified professor of Savate teaching in the United States. He currently teaches Savate at the world-famous Dan Incentano Academy in Los Angeles, California. Mr. Azli has just completed a dynamic video series on Savate and is currently giving seminars throughout the world on this exciting French kicking art. Welcome.
Hi.
Salam, please tell us about your early beginning. Where were you born, and when did you first get into the fighting arts?
Well, I am born in north of France in a town called Lille in December 2nd, 1959. And I'm raised in this town, and until the age of 8, I didn't really do anything, any kind of sport, until my mom found out that I was kind of skinny, and she decided to put me to this gymnastics school, which I'm glad she did, because it really helped me a lot in the future. And I was doing pretty good, and I was doing competitions and things like that, until 1974, when something really changed, if I can say, my life. I saw the Chinese movie Invade the Markets, and one day I saw Bruce Lee, and I was very impressed, and I said, this is definitely something for me. And I switched from gymnastics to martial arts, but we didn't have any school really to learn these things. We didn't have anything besides maybe a karate school in downtown. Mm-hmm. But it didn't tell me anything, and I decided to learn by myself with friends and have with focus glove, kicking, punching, like play around.
Yeah. And so you were self-taught in the beginning?
Yes, I was a self-taught, and more I get involved into Bruce Lee and his martial arts, when I could read information about him and what he did, I found out that, of course, he was dead, but his fellow companion was keep teaching his art in the United States. And after a mini lecture, I found the address of Daniel Santo and his school, and I wrote to him. And he finally answered to me and accepted me as a student. So I decided that I'm going to see him and train with him.
So you left France for the United States to study Jeet Kune Do with Mr. Osano?
Yes.
And what was that experience like?
At the beginning, it was difficult for me because I really wanted to stay as long as possible to get certificates and teach in France. That was my first goal. And when I came here, I didn't really speak English. It's not really better, but... And it was very like a different world. So I was just spending my first year to really train very hard and not doing anything. I was just train with him. And I really enjoyed it because he's a great instructor, and everybody knows that.
Now, this was before you got into Savate?
Yes, absolutely.
And did you get ranking from Sifu and Sotano?
For Junfan and Kali, I got my apprentice instructor certificates after 2.5 years. And I started actually to learn Savate here, and also by myself.
Oh, tell us about that.
When I came here, I didn't really know a lot about the art of Savate, of what we call in French the Boxe française, Savate, of French kickboxing in America. And in France, I remember having seen one time during an exposition, martial arts exposition, different style, and I saw the art of Savate. And I have to say that it was a lot of jumping kicks and stuff like that, and also a demonstration of cane, which is also the stick fighting art of from France. And that's all I remember so far. But I was not really impressed. And why? It's simply because I was like a Bruce Lee fanatic, and for me, Jeet Kune Do was the best. And without really know what Jeet Kune Do mean yet. Anyway, when I moved to California, I remember them telling me, you have good kicks, and how come you didn't learn Savate in France?
Oh,
and
this was Dan telling you this?
Dan telling me that. And I said, well, I really wanted to be like a JKD practitioner and not anything else. That's why I didn't want to have any teachers influence me when I was in France. When I had the opportunity to travel in France and have different teachers, I say, I just want to learn under you. And Dan told me, well, I think that you should maybe have some interest about the art. You are French, and you have the opportunity to go to France and meet people. Why don't you do it? And he said, if you want, you can try to find some student and try to tell them the art of savat. I'm sure you can do it. And that's why I started to get involved into boxe française. And Dan used to have a book of savat, and I started to read everything about it. And I started to put together some fellow students, and I started to teach them what I could learn from the book. And I trained pretty hard on it because the form is difficult at the beginning.
Yes.
If you really want to look the best, it's difficult. It's very beautiful. It's very graceful. So I keep training. I keep looking every day. I was practicing, and more I teach, more I learn. And after 2 years, I went to France after having a write to the French Federation telling them that I was teaching the art here without certificates. They said, well, if you want to be an instructor, you have to come to France, and we see how good you are, and we see what we can do. So I went back to France, and at the same time I did my immigrant paper at the same time. And I passed the exam, and I did, I think, pretty well, because on my silver glove degree I was the first. I finished first with according to what they said, the highest score, the highest score they have ever seen. And for my teacher certificates, I finished second.
That's fantastic. So that took a lot of discipline to actually, here you are a Frenchman, and you ended up studying it here from French books and whatever information, and then you go back to France, get certified.
Yeah, they thought I was a case. They say, we never see that before. We never see anyone learning the art from a book and have a result like that.
Yeah.
I figure that if I learn that's pretty quick, I think maybe because of my background in gymnastics, and also because the way Dan teach the art greatly influenced me to learn also the savat. You see?
Well, Bruce Lee, he talked highly of savat, didn't he?
According to what Dan told me, Bruce learned savat by watching videotapes. Actually, no, not videotapes, but Super 8 movies.
Yes.
Yes, and Dan told me that Bruce just come watch the video and just pick it up like this.
Now, do you have teachers that you're under now in France?
No, not really. I have to say that, not really. I went to France, for a week I spent an intensive training. I had a couple people who taught the classes, and it was a little bit different from what I saw in a book, because what I learned from my book, this book that I had was published in 1970, and at this time they were still teaching what they call the old-fashioned art, with the hands in extension and the very graceful forms, makes the art looks great. And I was very into that, what they call they said about me, when I send them some pictures of me, they say, that's very good, but few people do these kind of things anymore. It's too academic, too old-fashioned. And I said, well, I don't know what they say that, because Bruce used a lot of kicks like that with hands in extensions, and I didn't really know what they mean. And when I went back to France, I realized that they have their hands close together, more like a boxer. Every time, even when they kicks, make the arm looks a little bit more like piqué, even if the kicks are strictly savat.
Can you tell us the difference between the traditional savat form of fighting and the way it's done today?
Well, the new form, it's more, the hands is more like piqué or English boxing. Our hands are very close together, even when they kick. The kick are not like piqué, they're still like savat. They chamber the kicks every time, using the shoe. They have to respect the range, always using the shoe, so complete extension. You know, they cannot kick with the shin. It's not allowed, so they use the point of the shoe, the heel, or the edge, or whatever. This is still the same for new form or old form. The difference, it's when they kick. And the other hands covering the chest. And with the complete extension of the legs and the hands together makes the body looks great. It looks like ballet, and snapping fast and come back to the position, and the kicks look very specifically savat. It looks great.
Yeah, but does the newer style, boxing style, does it have really an advantage over the traditional? What is the purpose of the traditional full extension of the arm and all that?
Okay, I will answer first to your second question. Extend the arm. I noticed that when you use your old-fashioned form, you can kick a little bit farther because you have 50-50, you have good balance, so you can really extend much more the leg when you kick.
So you're stretching out more.
Much more, like about almost along the foot.
Yeah.
So when you use the point of the shoe to the face or to the stomach, it can help a lot. And when you put your hands together, they say you're more cover, you see, you better protection. But what's appealed to me at the first time when I saw the art and the book, it's the extension and the legs and hands in extension makes the art look more like gymnastic. Something looks like gymnastic, remind me of my background, which I could use, and also the gracefulness at the same time. So I have efficiency and gracefulness at the same time. And when I saw Bruce in his movie using these kicks and extension of the legs and arms at the same time when he was spinning or round kick or stuff like that, I said, well, it's not necessary to have both hands in protection. And so I decided to learn the old form. And actually I didn't have really much choice because the only book I had, it was the old-fashioned form.
Right.
And so when I went to France, they look at me and they say, many people asking me, who was your teacher? And I say, well, my teacher is Bernard Plazet. He's the guy who wrote this book. And they start to laugh and they say, well, you're a case. We never see anyone learning savat by himself and have such good forms. You know, I mean, I was a case.
Selam, do you teach both forms of savat?
Yes, I do. I definitely do. Because when I was starting to spread the art, during seminar and when I was talking in my class, Dan always told me, you know, Salem, I don't know why, but I prefer the old form. And I say, well, we are both of us to like the old form. And I'm sure it's going to appeal more to the American people, the old form, than a new form, because at first it's going to appear to them like piqué. And they will say, they will probably think, well, what's the purpose to learn the savat if we have piqué, even if they didn't know yet that it's very different. So psychologically, it was better to use the old-fashioned form. Like right away, they see, oh, this is very different, and it is. It is. So we have to use what's specific to the art to spray it.
Salem, tell us about the fascinating history of savat.
Well, it's very interesting and very long. Fighting with the hands and fists is something very common in France, around the 17th to 18th centuries. And the streets of Paris were not very secure. And they used to fight all the time using everything they could use as weapons: knees, elbow, kicking, punching, headbutt, pulling hair, everything goes. And,
tough street fighters back then.
Definitely, and we have some documents and drawings of when we can see some of the street fighting. And Paris used to develop the art of la savate, was just kicking and punching with the open hands. Okay, and in south of France, Marseille developed more sport called le chausson. It's also another name for shoe, but it's kind of shoes they wear when they go on a boat. And they used to also have sparring between English sailor against the French prisoner. And they report that the French people used to fight with one hand on the floor and use a kick, and the English boxer used only the hands, kicks being strictly forbidden. And one day, one of our creator, not creator, but the guy one of the guys who put together the art was Lecourt. He combined punching, English boxing, with the art of kicking la savate and chausson together, and creates what they call boxe française. And later on, Charlemagne came, and he was really the guy who did the art, what is today, something very scientifically put together, codified very well, kicking, punching, everything he put together. He wrote 2 books, which I possess one of them, that he wrote in 1899. And it's very, very, very technical, and this guy was a genius. And he wrote in his book that a great fighter will not get stuck with only one heart, but he's going to look around and pick up a little bit the best of everything and make like the ultimate martial art. And for me, it was incredible to find this in his book, because he's stuck like a real JKD guy. And I told Dan, I say, you see, some people were already in the right way at the time. And this is one of the things that amazed me the most about this guy.
So he is the founder of Savate, as it's known today?
Yes, he's the real founder of what we call la boxe française Savate, the heart, the total heart.
Okay. What year exactly did Savate begin?
Savate itself began like, nobody really knows when.
Oh, I see.
Nobody really knows when. But the art of Savate, it's around 1870, when Charlemagne really codified the art and make it a true sport. A sport and a system of self-defense. Because before, Savate or boxe française appealed more like for the street fighters, and nobody really, no, like I say, noble people will want to learn the art.
Right.
I mean, how to kick groin, pulling hair and headbutt and stuff like that. So Charlemagne said, well, if I want to promote this art, he has to look good. And he took all the kicks and make them look good and efficient at the same time.
Salem, what does the word Savate translate to mean?
Savate is a slang language from Paris, meaning shoe, boots. When you say to someone, put your savates on, I mean, put your old shoes on and let's go. You know, it's purely the slang language. This could be a boot, a shoe, any kind of things.
Salem, when did Savate become a national sport in France?
Under the influence of Joseph Charlemagne, which is the father of Charles Charlemagne. And in 1887, when Joseph opened his first school, official school in Paris, he attracted a lot of people, and among them members of the nobility, like Alexandre Dumas, which is the guy who wrote The Three Musketeers. Oh. And so Savate was at his peak, if I can say, around 1900, 1902. And also Savate was Olympic sport of demonstration for the Olympic Games in 1924. So the school functioned until the death of his son, Charles Charlemagne, in 1944. And not everybody knows that, but Georges Carpentier, who was a French champion of Savate, was French champion of Savate, was also world champion of English boxing, but he was first a Savate guy. Mm-hmm. And so, unfortunately, during the First and Second World War, all the great masters died, mm-hmm. you know, and after the war, if one guy, the Count Baruzzi, a member of the nobility, was a student of Charles Charlemagne, was not there, the house would probably be completely dead today. So, thanks to him, he put together all the people left, if I can say this way, with him, and they were like a handful, and they really wanted to keep doing it. And it took a long time, but with the years, they brought more and more people together. They created association, federation, and in 1969, I think, he used to have like 300 or 350 practitioners of Savate. Now we have, in 1986, we have like 30,000 people practicing the art.
In the savat matches, how many spectators usually come?
To tell you the truth, Savate is the only martial arts in Paris who full up the place.
Thousands of people.
Yes, because it's so exciting to see.
Yeah.
It's like Thai boxing, except that it looks more sophisticated because of the kick, spinning, kicking, side kick, reverse kick.
Tell us about the rules during a savat competition.
The rules make the art very exciting during competition because, first of all, it's so crowded and everybody's screaming, and it's very, very exciting. They can use the shoe, so they wear shoes. They have a boxing glove, mouthpiece, and cup. No shin guards, nothing. All kicks are lowered, and in the 3 lines, so they kick in the legs, and they make a lot of noise with the shoe. And they cannot kick the groin, of course, so he has a regulation, of course, definitely. And
but they can kick the legs?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Wow.
In any position, front leg, rear leg, on the front, on the side, the knee, the front chassé, front side kick, frontal side kick on the knee. It's allowed since last year.
How many rounds during a fight?
4 rounds.
How many minutes?
It's 1.5 minutes each.
And a minute rest in between?
And a minute rest in between.
And how are the fighters judged?
They judge on how many. Of course, there is the KO, the knockout,
Knockout?
There is a knockout. There is the points,
Okay, what do they judge points on? Do they have to throw so many kicks per round?
No, they don't have to. If the guy is going to sparring and to fight and he doesn't kick, they will stop the fight and say, well, you have to kick or you lose.
Yeah.
He has to kick. He cannot just punching. But if he just kick, I think he can throw a few punches. But he cannot just do punches and not kicking.
How do most knockouts occur in savat competition?
Mostly by feet, also by hands, but I say mostly by feet. And it's most of the time with the point of the shoe or the powerful chassé side kick with the heel and with the shoe protecting your feet so you can kick very hard. So the point of the shoe, the stomach, even if you have abs like steel, you have to experiment it. It's very, very strong.
Savat kicks with the point.
Yeah, use the point like the toe, like
a knife.
Like a knife, exactly. We stab with the point of the shoe. So every time we touch, every time it hurts. So we try to get out of the way every time. So we go knock out with the point of the shoe to the temple. You drop.
Temple? Wow.
Boom. If your hands is a bit drop, boom, you drop. And in the street it's more realistic because in the street you have the shoe. So you use your shoe as a weapon. By using the shin, every time when you can also use your shoe and the longest range. The shin is efficient and the closest range, and as the longest range you want to use your shoe.
Tell us about savat kicking techniques. Why are they different than, let's say, karate or Thai boxing kicks? What's so unique about them?
The shoe is a different range. If you have your shoe, like I just said before, you want to kick. You can kick from the longest range, you see, and avoid to be in a close quarter range when you can get exposed to the elbow, headbutt, or whatever. You can snap your kick like a whip. That's why it's called a fouetté. The round kick is called fouetté because it's really like a whip. Bam! We slap it, we snap, bang, and come back very quickly to the initial position to kick 2 or 3 times in different angles. And like this, bang, bang, bang. You see what I mean? And for example, a karate is a little bit more stiff, in my opinion.
Stiff?
Yeah. Than savat. It's not really a critic, because karate it's an efficient art, but it's compared to the savat, it's more stiff. I have to say. Savat is fluid. It's really like a fruit. We have to see it to really...
It's very graceful, ballet-type movements from what I see.
Yes, and non-stop moving. There is no stiff position.
Yeah, it's very deceptive. you might not see or feel the power by watching it like you would karate. You know, you hear that snapping. But savat flows, it whips, it's deceptive.
That's why, and this is, I have to say that many people, and even myself, at the really beginning, when I heard about savat, some people thought that savat was like sissy style because it was very graceful, you know, and also women practice the art. A lot of women used to practice the art. And I say, well, I don't think it should be something powerful. Until one day I experimented with Savate guy, he was on the front of me, and he was just beating the hell out of me, and I couldn't do anything. He was very far away from me, and he was flying, giving me high, round kick to the face, and at the last second, showing my legs with a shoe.
Wow.
And I said, gee, what the hell is this? And I say, this is Savate.
Wow.
It was my first encounter.
So that impressed you, was having the face of Savat man. That's what woke you up to it, huh?
Yeah.
So was this your first encounter with a Savat fighter?
Yes, when I was in Paris for the first time training with them, and I realized how deceptive was the art. Because they use a lot of fake also, you know. They fake high and they kick low, they reverse kick high and they finish in your knees, and it's very deceiving, you know. You cannot until the last moment, you cannot see where he's going to strike.
So where does the Savat power and damage come from? The snapping motion of the kick?
Come from the snapping motion of the kick, and also using the shoe.
The shoe, yes, that adds a lot more impact, doesn't it?
Absolutely, because when you are barefoot, you cannot use your toe as efficiently by striking the stomach that if you have your shoe covering your toe. You see what I mean? And you can risk to injure your toes with a barefoot, for example. You cannot afford the same techniques, you know. And so with the shoe putting in the foot, they really can eat as much as they want without...
So that makes it a good self-defense art.
Absolutely, because on the street you have a shoe, you will have rarely an opportunity to have a street fighting and you are barefoot.
Salem, what is the difference between Savat and Thai boxing?
This is a good question because everywhere I go going seminar, I was always the same one. The Thai boxing use mostly the front push kick and the roundhouse kick, very, very powerful. Because I also train Thai boxing under Chai Tireuse, and which is also a great instructor. And I really like the heart of Thai boxing. I think it's a great, great compliment for Savat. Actually, some Savat people also train Thai boxing on the side, or some Thai boxer train Savat in France. So they realize that both of the arts go very well together. Anyway, the Savat kicks are much more sophisticated, I have to say, because it's the truth. We have all the kicks possible and imaginable in all lines: low, medium, high, spinning, jumpings, front leg, rear leg. But we don't go all the way through when we kick, only on street defense. Because we use the shoe, we don't have to kick as hard as Thai boxing. As they are barefoot, they have to use the shin, so they have to be in the closest range. In Savat, we use the shoe, we can kick from far and avoid being touched when we kick the legs, not being too close and get exposed to elbows or headbutts, you know. So this is mainly the big difference. The kicks are more sophisticated in Savat. The kicks are very powerful in Thai boxing, you see.
I see. Are there competitions where Savat and Thai boxers fight each other?
No, because the French Federation don't allow any Savat people fighting with other styles.
I see.
They don't want to do that. But I know that a French guy and his buddy went to Japan, and they wanted to see first for a tour, visit Japan, and they went to see one of those Japanese kickboxing tournament. It's like, I think it's like Thai boxing.
Yes,
I saw the pictures, and pretty impressive, I have to say. And his friend, this guy's friend, looked at it and said, "This looks very tough." And he said, "I won't like to be there." And his friend said, "Well, me, I'm going to go." And he said, it's too dangerous. And he said, it's not the same things. We do savat, and they do different things. Anyway, he put his shorts on, he had his savat shoes on, he put boxing gloves, and I think just registered at the last minute, he went on a ring. And everything was recorded on TV. So he did 5 fights. He won all of them, and 3 by knockouts.
Wow.
And how? With a point of the shoe to the stomach, a coup de pied bas that, to the shin, followed by jab cross. Very classic. Exactly the same techniques that Charles Charlemont, the son of Joseph Charlemont, used against the English boxer when they fight, because the French and English boxer used to always compete together. Or the English boxing is better, French kickboxing is better. So they used to organize sometimes little tournament, but it was always little tournament, this way, over there, etc. And one day they decide to do once for all to decide which art is the best. So they brought this English champion in Paris, and they organized a big tournament, which all the newspapers used to talk about it at the time, even in Russia, for tell you how big was the event. And it was pretty equal. Charlemont received some punchings for the boxer, but finally Charlemont won by giving a strong roundhouse kick with the point of the shoe to the stomach of the boxer, and a jab cross for finish. And
that was it? That
was it.
Wow.
And this, at the time, this was in 1902, I think, or 1900 anyway. It was, savat was really at the peak.
Yes. Please tell us about a savat training session.
Well, there are different way of teaching it. In France, we have so many instructors that they all have their own way to teach the art. Myself, I'm greatly influenced by Danilo Santo because I trained with him first, and I really enjoy the way he teaches, and I copy myself mostly the way he did. So anyway, we always start by jumping ropes, and then we spend like 15 to 20 minutes of warming up with a specific stretching exercise from ballet or gymnastic and from savat. Because anyway, the stretching from savat come from ballet and gymnastic, and some exercise to loosen the hips, you know. And
loosening up the hips?
Yeah, loosening up the hip, because people think that they have to do the split, front split, left split, right split, to be a good kicker. And also their mistakes, common mistakes of most of the people, is to think that to be a good savat practitioner, you have to kick in the air, to kick the face every time. And I want to say, and telling them that that's not true, because savat kick low, medium, high, and some people are so bad in flexibility, and they keep practicing the art, and they only do low line. So as you can see, even people who are not very flexible can practice the art. They can only kick low line if they want to, because first of all, in the street it's more efficient, it's more direct, so you don't have to kick the head and to be very, very flexible and even medium and just go to the low line. So everybody can practice the art of savat, regarding flexibility level or the age, because we have a student from 5 years old to 91 years old. The oldest one is Count Baruzzi, the one who, thanks to him, the art is still alive. And as from what I hear, he's still practicing.
Tell me, do you have to study savat to be a fighter in competition, or can you just do it for health and self-defense?
Oh, absolutely. You can practice the art for just for the fun, and it's a lot of fun because you can play with the art of savat. You know, you have to touch. Touch is an obligation. So we have, you want to touch, you don't want to be touched. So we have some of the games like that. That's the way we start.
Oh, you must touch with the kicks and punches?
Absolutely. There is no contact. You always have to touch. It's a necessity number one. It's a rule number one. You have to touch. Then you have, you can practice the art just for the sport, fitness and sport, you know. Self-defense. Many women practice the art because they can use their shoes, they don't have to do things too fancy, and the art looks good. So if they are dancers, they like the art. It looks great. And also for competition, if you want to be a fighter.
I see.
And they know how many fighters we have.
And what about the rankings in Savate? Could you explain certification?
Mm-hmm. We have 5 first-degree level in Savate first before we reach the silver glove. We have blue glove because we work by color glove. Mm-hmm. It's not the glove that you wear, change color. It's just a patch with a glove, and the color of the patch is different.
So the insignia for Savate is gloves?
Yes, yes. And you have the first level, which is the first degree technical. It's blue level, blue color. Then you have green. Then you have red, followed by white, then yellow.
So it's similar to karate?
Kind of, but it's not by. It's mostly by how long you practice the art.
I see.
And then you have an exam, and combination exercise, sparring are required, you know. Mm-hmm. And if you pass the exam, you pass the color glove, your ranking goes up, you know. And you have a combination of fighting, you know. You have defense, technique, opportunities. They judge you on all of that. Include you have to do sparrings, you know, mm-hmm. light sparrings, you know, but to see how you move, technical, how you precision, your control, and if you can do the combination required for your level. Then if you pass the exam, you get the rank.
Now, the silver glove rank is like a, let's say, black belt level, and you're called a professor at that level?
No, because being a professor and being a silver glove is 2 different things.
Oh. What's
you know,
that?
A silver glove cannot be necessarily a professor, you know, and a professor has to be a silver glove. Do you understand the difference?
Yes.
You cannot be a professor if you're not silver glove. But being silver glove doesn't mean you're going to be a professor, because some people are good technical or good fighters, but they don't know how to teach the art.
Ah, so and professor is above silver glove more or less because you're a proven teacher?
Yes, if I can say this way, yes, because it's a lot to have to do to be a professor. You know, when you go to France, they don't give the ranking like that. To tell you the truth, it was very tough. Yeah. Because they don't only judge you on what you know about the human body, because you have to know everything, the bones, the muscles, and you know. And the condition, how, if you have a problem, injury, etc., they ask you a bunch of questions, you know, mm-hmm. and because it's required by the French government, then, and also by the federation, and also then you judge you on your techniques, and you have to be good.
Now you're a registered professor from France.
Yes.
So you're allowed to rank people and award certificates, aren't you?
Yes, absolutely.
So if someone out there wanted to achieve ranking in Savate, mm-hmm. they could probably study from your videos and then test under you, test the techniques.
Yes. Yes.
I see.
So that's my purpose of me and Dan. When we go giving seminar, we try to, Dan is spraying his heart, and I'm trying to spray the Savate, and I'm coming regularly to those places and build up people.
So you're on a mission.
Kind of, actually.
To educate the people on Savate, this yes. exotic kicking art. Mm-hmm. What are your future goals and plans for Savate? How would you like to see it in the years to come?
Well, I would like the art to be an implant in the United States. Mm-hmm. It's like, I feel a little bit like Dan when he was starting to spread the art of Cali. He was just by himself. So he gave me a lot of comfort and telling me, oh, don't worry, you will do it, because when I did trying to spread the art, I was by myself and nobody believed in it. Uh-huh. And it took me a long time. And I feel like him now because I'm by myself, and I know what I want to bring is good stuff.
How has the response been so far to Savate in America?
Well, great, I have to say, because I'm very lucky, again, to travel with Dan, and people trust his judgment, you know. Dan helped me to promote the art, and people think that if Dan wants people to learn about it, it's because it's good stuff. Mm-hmm. And thanks to him, I have a great help. And everywhere I went so far, they really enjoy it.
What type of people are attracted to your Savate seminars?
Well, when I give seminars, everybody actually they enjoy to see the gracefulness, something different in a kick and combinations. They love to see the combination of Savate, and they like the flow, to kick low, high, medium.
Well, when you take your students through Savate kicking techniques, what kind of response do you get from the martial artists who are used to, let's say, set patterns of kicking?
Oh, they cannot believe their eyes that the French people develop such a highly effective art of kicking.
Mm-hmm.
And they think it's too bad that they didn't hear about it before, or they could have an opportunity to see it. And they always want to learn more. Unfortunately, I cannot be anywhere. That's why I try to build instructor to spread the art.
Salem, you just completed a dynamic series of videos on Savate, and it has thousands of techniques. What do you hope to teach through your tapes?
Well, I show from A to Z all the art of Savate, okay? Mm-hmm. And they're going to be able to greatly improve their kicking, their punching, their combinations, and they're going to be definitely amazed to see what they can do with the Savate,
mm-hmm.
with how they can develop their strength, how they're going to be able to give different kicks in different angles, how to move, how to be able to move softly with the flow, and kicks in different angles and punching in different angles, and be very deceiving in their punching, kicking, and throwing and sparring, and greatly improve also for people who like to spar and doing kickboxing tournament. Are going to learn a lot. Very efficient techniques.
So whether they are full contact fighters or point fighters, self-defense techniques, everyone can benefit.
Oh, absolutely. Everybody is going to learn a lot.
I'm sure they are. Salem, thank you for this exclusive video interview, which has given us tremendous insight into the French art of Savate. Thank you.
Thank you.